Good evening. I'm going to call the March 8th, 2022 agenda meeting to order. Jessica Brennan. Here. John De La Rota. Bill McPartlin.
Here.
Jason Moskowitz.
Present.
Elena Finnan.
Here.
Me, Jamie Puccioni, present. All right. We'll go ahead and begin with Finance and General Government Committee.
A resolution making certain budgetary modifications. A resolution adopting bond tax compliance policy and procedures. A resolution adopting continuing disclosure procedures. A resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign the town grant writer's contract. And a resolution to bond for capital projects and equipment.
So I have a few questions about that now that I got the capital projects equipment list here. Is now the time all right to speak about those?
I grant you the time.
Thank you. All right.
Let me pull up the sheet so I'm looking at the same thing here. All right. Go ahead.
Okay, so first thing on the list, as everybody knows, I was in police and public safety again. We're bonding for police cars, and that is something that I've been trying to get us away from for quite some time because I feel that those are an expense. We've been trying to get that department on, every 3 years, replacing the cars, keeping our maintenance costs down. So I just want to bring that to everybody's attention that I think those are expenses that should not be bonded.
I completely agree with you.
Thank you.
Wholeheartedly, in fact.
But you can't shake the money tree enough to get it off of this list, I guess.
So far, no. Unfortunately, because if we don't bond for them, they are not in the budget and there would be no police cars this year. So that's our choice.
Right. Well, in the past, we've sometimes used fund balance, but we know that that's not really the right way to go either. We should try to get these into the budget. I see the body dashboard camera project that's on there. Fully supportive of that. And as you know, we passed a resolution to get the grant money for that. So that's great to see. I'm a little curious about the Plum Street sidewalk in there for $50,000, Laura. Have we gotten pricing for that work? And is that a number that's going to work for that project?
So when we talked about that at the budget of last year, and what we did was we used DOT's cost estimator for sidewalk, which would be essentially DOT puts a ton of contingency in there, and it's Davis Bacon wages, but also DOT specs. So that should be high. That should be enough. We don't have an actual quote from a contractor to do the work for us, but the DOT estimator is conservative.
Okay, thank you. Also on the list here, I see in Highway and Parks, new passenger bus replacement. It's my recollection, we've talked about that before, and that the board approved, and Lori, you, Ray, maybe somebody can speak to this. We approved the purchase of a smaller van type vehicle for that department, but that has never happened.
Okay, so we had come up with a recommendation. At that time, the bus was starting to deteriorate. We thought, based on the data from the rec center, they weren't moving as many people. We thought we could get a small minivan to, because some days the bus driver's only taking 2 or 3 people, or maybe taking them to the store or whatever. So at the price of the current bus that we have, which was a lot of money, we thought one, fuel would be cheaper, maintenance would be cheaper, and longevity of that vehicle would last longer by, say, buying a passenger minivan. If they had a resident that needed the handicap wheelchair, accessory that the big bus has, then they would have to make that accommodation. But for every day running around, and at that time it was recommended because we were having a hard time finding a bus driver. So any one of the aides at the rec center or someone from here, you don't need a special license to drive a small van under so many passengers. I'm actually still advocating for that same exact thing, even though we're looking at a bus. We're a year out on that bus.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you giving the board members here some of the background as I am trying to do, that they don't know the history, if you will. Of
I know we went to
this.
the extent of getting a price of a minivan that we thought would work. And like you said, as board members, I know there was many discussions about it. And I think the money thing with, were we getting out of fund balance? Were we, we were looking at like the $30,000 range to get a double door on each side so that people could get in and out. And I would still to this day advocate for that, along with a new bus, just to keep that longevity in the vehicles.
Oh,
And
great.
I actually talked to Lori about it today, maybe looking for a grant. When we reached out to do the new bus quotes, they go up daily. So when we called, one of the bus vendors said, there are grants that they thought were available that other, charities and stuff were using to purchase buses. So I did have that discussion with Laura, and Beth came in on the tail end of that. And I think, that might be a way to go.
Right. And I know that you've done a good job in keeping the bus that they have running and up, making it looks decent and everything like that. And your point, and I think you agree with this, is, Lori, right, is to get a smaller van.
Yeah. I can.
More immediately, that would service some of the needs.
Absolutely. And if the van works out, the size of the current bus we have has a huge frame extension on it. If the minivan proves to work and, you can collect the data as how many people you're moving, we may be able to downsize that bus a little bit and get a so many passenger with the handicap thing on it. The handicap accessible back end with the lift is what's expensive.
Right.
So if the van proves to work out, you may be able to shorten that bus up a little bit and still have a good fleet to service our seniors for sure. So I can do some data on a minivan.
Well, I think there was a resolution and approval for that van, but it just was never purchased.
Show me the money, Bill. I'll buy it tomorrow.
Did you have any other questions on the bond list?
Actually, I think those were the only items that I had for right now. Thank you.
All right.
And I actually did notice something under police. It says purchase 3 vehicles, and then moving to the right, there's 85,800 for 2 Ford vehicles, 18,000 upfitting. I wasn't sure what
That's
that
the-
was
For
about.
the equipment that's required in the vehicle to make it a police vehicle.
So is it 2 vehicles or 3?
It's 2. It was originally 3. I went around and asked all the department heads to very kindly give up some of what was on this list because it was about double the amount of money that we would have been bonding for. And speaking with our bond counsel, they highly recommended that we keep it below $1 million. So all of the department heads worked with me to kind of whittle things down. And you can see through the middle there where we went through to see if there were any old funds that were in capital projects that were just kind of latent, that were like projects that we might be able to pull little bits from to decrease the amount that we'd need to bond for. And that's how we've kept it under $1 million.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Me again. Number 6 is tentative resolution awarding a contract for temporary labor. These will be in April. So we're getting them in the paper now. And that goes as far as number 7 to the contract for Dean Street Park and Baker Avenue. So I would like to thank Elena. She revised these, went through them, did a wonderful job of upgrading these to where we need to be. So corrected a lot of language. So I would like to thank Elena for all that work. The impact of us doing open them in April is no impact to services because we don't start mowing and the contracts don't start till April anyway. So just as well, we'll get it's going in the paper, I think, next week. We'll review the bids, the bid opening, but we won't make this month's meeting. Any questions? Final answer.
Item number 8, resolution authorizing the purchase of GPS mapping equipment software upgrades. We do have, we're looking at $12,672. We have money within our budget for this and just needing resolution for the new GPS equipment. Number 9, resolution amending the town code regarding Mercury. We're still working on this item, and so we're going to pull this for and work on it for next month. Item 10, a resolution authorizing a maintenance contract for Scada software. No resolution is actually needed. It's already been approved at the February Finance Committee meeting. A resolution appointing a water and sewer maintenance worker 2. This is Mike Paleschi. He's worked with the town since 2019. Excellent worker, and we do want to reward good workers and keep them around. And so this would be an incentive for that in issuing him with that maintenance worker 2 status. 12, a resolution authorizing the spring residential commercial utility bill warrant. This is a standard resolution that we do twice a year, authorizing the warrant for the residential and commercial bills for the second half of 2021. The bills will be mailed around April 8th and will be due May 23rd. 13, a resolution authorizing a well pump inspection and repair. Down at the water plant, well pump number 5A is not working right now, and so we're looking to get that repaired, and I've got a quote from a contractor, and anticipate the cost will be less than $12,000 for that. Item 14, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to submit an application for an annual permit at the Albany landfill and authorizing the cost thereof. This is an annual contract for our sludge disposal for the wastewater treatment plant sludge. And so in renewing that contract, the rate will remain the same as it was last year up through June of $94 a ton. And then in July, we'll revisit that.
Hello. Number 15 is a resolution authorizing the submittal of a SIP grant. The SIP grant is the county grant, which helps offset the price of the concert series that we have in the summer out on the gazebo. And number 16 is a resolution authorizing the submittal for the Niskayuna Community Foundation grant. That's due April 15th, and we'll be working on that shortly. We've come up with Ray and I came up with a project today that we wanted to discuss about the dog park. And so we are hoping to put that grant forward this year. Does anybody have any questions? Nope. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, number 17 is a resolution to adopt the hazard mitigation plan. We pulled this from the meeting last month because we just wanted to make sure that the public notice was documented. So we're going to add in the dates of the public notice, and that should be good to go for the end of this month. And I just had wanted to add something from the floor, which I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to really talk to any of you guys about except for Elena. But we are losing our wonderful ZBA chairwoman. She's moving, and March will be her last meeting. So if we don't appoint a chair at the end of March, we will be chairless for April. So I would like to just add that, and then we can discuss who we would like to put forward for the chairperson at the end of the month, if possible.
Thank you, Laura.
Number 18 is a resolution calling for a public hearing on proposed changes to Chapter 37 of the Town Code of the Town of Niskuna entitled Police Department. Something I'm going to work with Elena on. I think it's long due. Our town code section is very outdated. It describes, for instance, the position of desk officer. We don't have a desk officer. There's some language in there referring to our police officers still as patrolmen and patrolman. It describes us having weapons such as revolvers. We don't carry revolvers. And I think that this could be something that we could look at broadly, do some language updates to make it a little bit more modern for our town and for our police department.
Thank you. That is all we have for the agenda meeting, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned.